The amazing video that exposed my daughter-in-law's hidden plot to steal $500,000? Tom paced the living room, the shadows from the maples outside inching into his home as dusk settled. Life had shifted dramatically since he retired from being a school principal, a title he wore with pride, ensuring every child felt valued. Now, the walls that once echoed laughter and warmth felt ominous. Days were filled with a sense of freedom, yet that very freedom now loomed heavy with uncertainty. Tom's focus had always been on family values, loyalty, integrity, and strength. Now, the foundations he had worked so hard to build felt like they were crumbling. And it all revolved around Sarah. Sarah had entered their lives like a breath of fresh air. Her laughter filled their house, but lately, Tom noticed an unfamiliar distance. She seemed fixated on the family business, a once cherished legacy, her eyes darting with a secretive intensity that unnerved him. Could it be pressure, he wondered, or fear? Every moment he spent trying to decipher her behavior was like stepping on landmines. He had nurtured a family bound by love, never suspecting betrayal could lurk in the shadows. Then came that fateful afternoon. While cleaning out old boxes in the attic, he stumbled upon Jake's phone. The sight of it sent chills down his spine. Should he look? A mix of curiosity and dread pushed him forward. As he pressed play on the hidden video, Tom's heart sank. It revealed Sarah whispering conspiratorially with a slick, charismatic partner whose face twisted with deception. Their words fattened his chest with betrayal, plans to siphon money from the family estate. It was not merely shocking, it was a betrayal that could shatter everything he had worked for. Before he could pull himself together, dread settled in. How could he protect his son from this betrayal? Tom stood at the crossroads, wrestling with conflicting emotions, the instinct to shield his boy from this vile treachery, and the duty to uphold the principles he had imparted. How could he confront Sarah? What drove a woman he once embraced as family to commit such an act? The clock ticked ominously in the background, each second amplifying the weight of his decision. Desperation clawed at him, convincing him that revealing the truth could save his family. But at what cost? Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. Tension emanated from every corner of the house as he prepared for the inevitable confrontation. Tom envisioned the living room transforming into a courtroom where the verdict of his family's future would rest in the balance. As evening shadows lengthened, he could almost see Jake emerging, blissfully unaware, with that infectious smile, the one that would soon be swept away by this storm of betrayal. Every time he took a deep breath to steady himself, it only seemed to amplify the unease rustling in his chest. Then came the knock, sending a jolt through Tom's veins, a simple sound that heralded chaos. Jake stood framed by the door, illuminated by the porch light, innocent and unknowing. As Tom looked into his son's trusting eyes, the magnitude of what lay ahead loomed ominously. How could he bear to break his heart with the truth? And with that, the chasm between love and betrayal deepened, pulling Tom closer to an inevitable reckoning. Tom's heart raced as Jake stepped inside, his demeanor casual, completely oblivious to the tempest brewing beneath the surface. The warmth of his son's presence only intensified Tom's internal conflict. How could he balance the responsibility of a parent while carrying the burden of this monumental secret? "Hey, Dad!" Jake's voice broke through the fog of Tom's thoughts. The simple greeting served as both a reminder of his son's innocence and a shackle binding Tom to his silence. "Jake," Tom replied, his voice barely above a whisper. He gestured toward the living room, each step feeling like a march toward his own execution. The plan to confront Sarah began to crystallize in his mind, yet the doubts remained thick as smoke. How could he present evidence that would not only devastate Jake, but could render his entire family structure irreparable? He sat down on the edge of the couch. Jake sank into the armchair opposite him, his humor and energy contrasting starkly with the tension radiating from his father. Tom struggled to maintain eye contact, his instincts battling the compulsion to shield his son from the looming truth. A flood of memories flashed through his mind, birthday celebrations, family outings, and the values woven into their family fabric. All of it threatened to unravel. "Everything okay?" Jake's brow furrowed with concern, the light of the porch filtering through the window illuminating his boyish features. "You seem a bit off." "Yeah, just thinking about the family business." Tom paused, grasping for a foothold in this conversation. "What do you think about Sarah's plans for the expansion?" Jake's eyes lit up, the spark of enthusiasm igniting the space between them. "She has some great ideas. I think she's just trying to take it to the next level. We could really capitalize on the market right now." A sharp pang pierced through Tom's heart. Could Jake really trust her? "Do you ever wonder who truly has our best interests in mind?" Tom's voice wavered, uncertainty breaching the facade of his authority. Each word was deliberate, probing, longing to harness the slightest acknowledgement from Jake. "Of course. We need to be careful," Jake replied. "But she's family now, Dad. Isn't that what matters?" Family. The word lingered like an anchor, pulling Tom deeper into the tumult of his thoughts. In that moment, he understood something intricate. Family isn't defined merely by blood. It's built on trust, loyalty, and transparency. Tom's instinct screamed to protect Jake's faith in family connections, yet the risk of staying silent grew unbearable. "Listen, Jake," Tom said, a surge of determination coursing through him. "We need to talk about Sarah. He hesitated, the weight of his words turning to lead in his throat. Just as he felt the resolve to plunge forward, the door swung open and Sarah stepped into the room, eyes bright with an energy that lit up the shadows filling Tom's heart with dread. "Hey, you two, what's going on?" Her tone bubbled with a friendliness that felt jarring. Did she have any clue about the darkness under the surface? Tom caught a glimpse of Jake's expression, relief mixing with confusion. The moment hung suspended in time as Sarah's presence shifted the dynamics in the room. There was no escaping the confrontation now. It loomed before him, closer than ever, as he braced himself for the storm ahead. The moment of truth was approaching, and Tom's mind raced with contradictions and questions. Would revealing the impending betrayal safeguard his family or destroy the remnants of their unity? The path ahead narrowed, and Tom was left with no choice but to confront the shadows lurking in their midst. The tension coiled tightly as he prepared himself for the inevitable, knowing that any misstep could irrevocably change everything. But as he opened his mouth to speak, the weight of his revelation hung poised at the precipice, ready to spill forth, unraveling trust, family ties, and possibly even Jake's heart. Tom's mind raced, teetering on the edge of revelation as Sarah walked in, the vibrant smile on her face a stark contrast to the chaos swirling inside him. Each breath felt weighted as he struggled to hydrate the dry truth lodged in his throat. Perhaps he could confront her outright, demand answers before that monstrous secret swept over Jake and shattered their family's foundation. The thought of Jake's confusion upon discovery rolled like thunderclouds in his mind. "Hey, Sarah," he managed, his voice a thread against the heavy atmosphere. "Just discussing some ideas for the business." The words felt inadequate, fumbling, far from what he truly wanted to say. She laughed lightly, a melody that seemed entirely out of place in a room thick with unspoken tension. "I love the energy around here. I've been working on some numbers myself. If we play our cards right, we could be looking at a substantial growth year ahead, don't you think?" The casual confidence in her voice gnawed at Tom. He couldn't shake the feeling of dissonance. The more she spoke of success, the more that an underlying tone seemed to ripple beneath her words. It was an eerie dance of ambition masked by a facade of familial warmth. Tom shifted, leaning back, trying to distance himself from her radiance. He was beginning to see her for what she was, a chameleon, seamlessly blending into the fabric of their family while plotting the exact opposite. Internal conflict churned. Did he expose her and risk everything he had built, or did he remain silent to protect what was left? His gaze fell on Jake, oblivious to the turmoil. The boy was beaming with pride, building his hopes on the beliefs entwined by his father's love and care. Imagine if we could expand into neighboring markets. Sarah, I think you'd be perfect for presenting the pitch. Jake's enthusiasm poured forth, filling the spaces where Tom's doubts lurked. Of course, I'd love that, Sarah responded with exaggerated glee, if not just a hint too rehearsed. It was maddening, the juxtaposition of Jake's innocence and Sarah's underlying duplicity. As seconds elongated into what felt like hours, Tom sensed a weight in the air. Fear tickled at the back of his throat. If he didn't act decisively, he risked losing not only his relationship with Jake, but also the moral high ground he so desperately sought to maintain. Can we talk alone for a moment, Sarah? He forced the words out, quelling the tremor in his voice. Her smile faltered, just for a second, and in that fleeting instant, clarity washed through Tom. Sure, what about? Sarah replied, an edge creeping into her tone, but she followed him into the adjacent room, leaving Jake with an expression that teetered on confusion. Once the door shut, Tom faced Sarah, hands balled into tight fists. Each heartbeat reverberated as he contemplated the unknown repercussions of his next words. I know what you're planning. The air shifted, her expression morphing to one of feigned innocence, masking the threat he felt looming. What are you talking about, Tom? She asked, though the slight twitch of her lip betrayed a flicker of nerves. I have the evidence. You can't keep lying to us. His voice steadied, adrenaline propelling his courage to lace each word with conviction. The realization that he possessed knowledge could act as armor. Evidence? She countered, and though her bravado glimmered, the spark of fear betrayed her composure. The game had begun, and for the first time, Tom felt the weight shifting in his favor. The stakes were high, but somewhere deep within him stirred a newfound sense of clarity. Your plans stop here, Sarah. The resolve in his voice ignited a flicker of determination that danced in tandem with his growing fears. The truth would not be silenced. Like a tightly held secret, it demanded exposure. Yet even as conviction surged through him, doubt flickered. Would the truth bring freedom, or would it ensnare him deeper in familial chaos? Tom stood poised on the brink of revelation, and he was acutely aware that the fallout would change everything. But just as he readied himself for her response, a soft voice mingled with the tension, filtering through the door. Dad? Jake's voice was a lifeline that pulled Tom back. The moment hung in the balance, irrevocably poised for change. What would be his next move? Tom's heart raced at the sound of Jake's voice. The tension coiled tight within him, a rubber band pulled to its limit. He had a choice to make in those seconds, a decision that could unravel or solidify the fabric of his family. The door felt like a barrier to both escape and confrontation. He was trapped between two worlds, one steeped in illusion, the other in shaking reality. Just a second, Jake, we'll be right out, Tom called, his voice a mix of urgency and feigned composure. Inside, he felt the swell of dread rise. This was no longer just about Sarah's ambition. It was about protecting his son from the inevitable fallout. Did you mean what you said, Tom? Sarah's voice was low, threaded with a hint of defiance. Do you really have evidence, or is this simply a fabrication to pester me? You know this kind of accusation can ruin lives. Her insinuation lashed at him, a reminder of the stakes. No more games, Sarah, he replied, pushing past her veiled threats. Whatever you're planning ends now. I won't let you manipulate Jake or this business any longer. As her composure cracked, revealing a thin veneer of anger and fear beneath, Tom felt a weight lift. He was no longer just reactive. He was becoming proactive, shaking off the shadows that had kept him bound to silence for so long. There was something empowering about standing his ground. I'm not a monster, Tom, she shot back, regaining a semblance of control.
I'm doing what I need to secure our future. Don't you care about the business, about making it thrive? What you're doing isn't for the business, it's for you, he countered, the conviction solidifying into clarity. I've seen the numbers, the accounts. You're leading Jake into the dark with your selfish ambitions. Her eyes widened momentarily, but she quickly regained her confidence. And what if I am? Business is cutthroat, and those who can't adapt get left behind. You think staying in your comfort zone is the answer? You'll drown there, Tom. A cold rush of understanding surged through him. Her argument held a twisted truth. He had been too trusting, too willing to accept her dreams without questioning the reality beneath. Is that what this is? Tom vocalized, finally pushing through the haze of unclear allegiances. You've manipulated trust to stretch your own empire, leaving others to bear the consequences. I won't allow it. He felt raw, exposed to the blistering truth of their reality, a truth he had long buried beneath a facade of loyalty and family. Sarah was no longer the supportive partner. She became the very kind of adversary he feared, the snake in their midst. And yet, along with apprehension, a burgeoning sense.
A self-respect flourished in Tom's chest. He was no longer just a reactionary figure playing the part of husband and father. The confrontation was dragging him toward a profound realization. He was capable of setting boundaries, of nurturing his own legitimacy in this world. "Dad, is everything okay?" Jake's voice sliced through his reverie again, now permeated with genuine concern. The moment felt surreal, a juncture where clarity fought against the chaos. Tom's instincts kicked in, awareness surged through him like an electric current. "Not yet, Jake. We'll talk in a minute," he replied, without turning his gaze from Sarah. As the door continued to serve as a threshold, Tom calculated his next steps. He had only scratched the surface of this conflict, but an undeniable resolve fortified him. Facing Sarah felt like a personal metamorphosis. He could wield the truth like a sword, yet the weight of revelation hovered ominously in the air. How could he protect Jake without tearing apart the very foundation he sought to uphold? The challenge loomed. Would he confront further and unearth more hidden manipulations, or cede to the impulse to restore semblances of peace? And as uncertainty flickered between them, one thing resonated in Tom's mind. The real fight had only just begun. Would he risk it all or play it safe? What truths lurked beneath the surface, waiting to emerge? Tom's focus flickered between Sarah's unwavering glare and the looming presence of the door behind him. He felt as if he stood on the brink of a precipice, staring down at a stormy sea that reflected the turmoil within himself. Jake's innocent inquiry rang in his ears, a stark reminder of the stakes not just for him or Sarah, but for their son. "Stay calm," he instructed himself, drawing in a deep breath that barely quelled the storm of emotions raging inside. The tension felt palpable, every second stretching into eternity as he deliberated his next move. What is the right choice? "Speak, Tom," Sarah demanded, her voice laced with an urgency that threatened to fracture the fragile peace. "Say what you need to say, or stop hiding behind fear like you always do." Had that been his default? Fear? The realization stung. He had been cocooned in an existence where he allowed others to dictate the terms of his life. It was easier to bend than to break, but in the process, he had dulled his own instincts. The knowledge of his self-imposed futility surged up. He had to reclaim his narrative. "Honestly," Tom's voice steadied, a new resolve crystallizing. "I'm tired of tiptoeing around. I need to know what you've really been planning, and, more importantly, why." Sarah's posture shifted, a split second of vulnerability before a sharp defensive mask fell back into place. "You think you can intimidate me into revealing my strategies? This is business, Tom, not some schoolyard game." Words came tumbling forth before he could catch them. "And at what cost to our family? Your business ambitions shouldn't come at the expense of our morals."
He dismissed the pang of doubt within him, instead feeling empowerment surge forth as he continued. If you're risking everything for a fleeting profit, then what's left when the dust settles? I don't want Jake caught in your crossfire. He deserves better. At the mention of their son, the balance between them shifted. Sarah's defenses faltered, and for a moment, Tom could see uncertainty cloud her eyes. It was as though he had thrust a mirror before her, reflecting not just her ambitions, but the potential consequences they wrought. Are you even considering Jake in this? He pushed. Or is it all about your ego? The question echoed in the charged atmosphere, forcing both to grapple with its implications. As Tom stood firm, he inadvertently discovered an uncharted capacity within himself, a burgeoning capacity to challenge, to unearth the truth. He realized that the confidence he felt was not merely an act of defiance, but a vital awakening. Amid the chaos, he was evolving, redirecting the narrative toward a healthier path, one where transparency would thrive, which was as crucial as his ambition. The truth matters more than profit, Sarah. Do you understand that? Silence loomed, heavy and oppressive, wrapped around them like thick fog. As Sarah's silence stretched uncomfortably in the air, Tom felt adrenaline heightened in his veins. Each heartbeat propelled him toward an impending confrontation, a confrontation that could either repair or rupture what was left of their relationship. I can't live in a world where I turn a blind eye to what's happening, especially not with our son involved, Tom pressed, feeling his composure rise with every syllable. We both want what's best, don't we? Sarah finally responded, her voice trembling. But best can look different to each of us. It was an appealing tactic, shifting the focus back onto him. Yet, still standing in the midst of their clash, Tom understood. He needed to hold on to the resolve surrounding his own values, even as doubt still whispered in the corners of his mind. But what if he pushed too hard? What if the truth he uncovered severed ties altogether? Determination propelled him forward. Then let's make it clear what that means. Not everything that glitters is gold, and I won't let greed etch its way into our lives. As he spoke, clarity expanded his vision. The moment felt pivotal. He could either accept the unraveling or grasp firmly at the truth that could emerge from this chaos. And just as their feigned calmness broke, Jake's voice filtered through once more. What's happening? Are you two fighting? Tom turned to the door once again, uncertainty crashing over him like an unrelenting wave. Faced with his son's genuine concern, the question nagged at him. How would he explain this moment of reckoning without allowing his child to bear the weight of it? Let's talk, Jake. Right now, we have some important truths to discuss. And as the door creaked open, welcoming Jake's bright face into the tension-ridden room, Tom realized he stood at the brink of a far more profound revelation. Would he be equipped to articulate the complexities of loyalty, ambition, and morality in a way that Jake might understand? A new thought ignited a flicker of hope amidst the chaos. Perhaps this is the moment I become the father I need to be. Dad, are you okay? Jake's voice cut through the tension, pulling Tom sharply from the precipice of his turbulent thoughts. The innocence in his son's expression punctured the wall of conflict that had surged to an almost unbearable height between Tom and Sarah. It's nothing for you to worry about, buddy. Tom attempted a reassuring smile, though it felt as thin as glass. Jake's presence was starkly grounding, a reminder of all he had at stake. Tom's conviction felt fortified with every moment he could hold on to the normalcy of being a father. Yet the undercurrents of adult treachery swirled around them, threatening to seep into their lives. Really? It looks like you and Mom are fighting. I don't like when you guys fight. Jake frowned, his brow wrinkled with concern. The boy's honesty hit Tom hard, forcing the weight of his looming decisions to crash down. This confrontation wouldn't just affect him and Sarah. It would resonate through every part of their lives, especially for Jake. The thought of future conversations where Jake might have to navigate the fallout made Tom's resolve harden once more. Jake, listen, he began, feeling the urgency to strike a balance between honesty and protection. Sometimes grown-ups disagree about important things. It's not your fault, and it doesn't mean we love you any less. A flicker of acceptance crossed Jake's features, but it was fleeting. But I don't want you to stop loving each other. There's a way to fix things, right? Fixing things takes time, and it means talking about what's right and wrong, Tom replied, his heart pounding. His son deserved to see a model of strength, not just in conflict, but in the reconciliation that followed. Is Mom gonna try to take our money? Jake asked innocently yet pointedly, his eyes wide, almost searching for affirmation. The question struck like a lightning bolt through Tom's chest. Sarah's business maneuvers had veiled deeper intentions, but for Jake to articulate the fear so bluntly forced Tom to confront the unspeakable, the chance that a financial rift could tear apart their family tapestry and compromise everything they held dear. Tom turned to Sarah, an uneasy realization washing over him. You know that hiding things can create fear, right? He challenged, his tone softer but firm. We need to set an example for Jake, to be open and honest no matter how difficult it gets. What do you suggest? You think airing all this out is going to help? Sarah retorted, her frustration palpable. We could begin by showing him what genuine communication looks like, Tom urged, edging cautiously around his feelings of resentment. If we don't model it, how?
Will he learn? Sarah's defenses shimmered as she absorbed his words, caught between the vision of preserving her ambitions and parenting their son adequately. The tension spiraled outward, reconnecting their motivations, if only briefly. For the first time in a long time, Tom could feel the ground shift beneath them. A chance for synergy was forming amid the bitterness. Okay, fine, Sarah relented slowly, her voice lowering. But it has to matter to both of us. We can't just agree to something for the sake of Jake. Everything we do has to matter to him. That needs to be our baseline, Tom agreed. Honesties can carve out a path from this chaos into something better. At that moment, Tom understood that this was more than just a conversation about values. It was about redefining his legacy as a father and a partner. By engaging in this authentic dialogue, even amidst conflict, he could reinforce their family bonds against the storm. As he looked at Jake, hope mingled with anxiety. What if this was a step toward a more significant personal evolution, a transformative choice that could ripple through his relationship with Sarah and ultimately lead to the stability Jake needed? Let's get things right, together, Tom suggested, feeling a surge of determination. But we need to be completely honest with each other, even when it's hard. The challenge loomed ahead, a gauntlet of truth-filled decisions stretched before them. In that moment, Tom recognized that to reshape his family's narrative, every ounce of courage he possessed would be required. Unraveling the threads of their current disentanglement would take unflinching honesty, and the potential consequences weighed heavily upon him. As the heavy silence settled over them, a new tension hung in the air, a humility mixed with a hope for reconciliation. Could they navigate the storm with transparency, or would it lead them toward deeper fractures? Let's talk, tomorrow, just the three of us. We need to set some ground rules, Tom finally proclaimed, already grappling with the weight of the truths that lay ahead. The next day promised revelations that would change everything. Would they emerge stronger, or would the truths revealed pull apart the fragile stitches that held their family together? Tom awoke before dawn, the chill of uncertainty lingering in the air as he sat on the edge of the bed. Today would not be just another day. It would signify a critical shift within the family dynamic he had worked so hard to maintain. As he glanced over at Sarah, who still slept peacefully, he found himself grappling with the delicate balance of confrontation and cooperation. The silence in the house was deceptive, whispering promises of calm while thunder rumbled just beneath the surface. He had spent the previous night rehearsing various possible scenarios in his mind, each one a reflection of potential outcomes from their impending discussion. Tom knew that honesty meant revealing not just truths, but vulnerabilities as well, and he worried about how Sarah would react when faced with the raw reality of their situation.
Moments later, the sun cast a soft glow through the curtains, illuminating his thoughts. He pressed his palms against his knees, taking deep breaths to steady his resolve. There was far more at stake than financial concerns. Jake's well-being rested on how they navigated the emotional terrain. As he prepared breakfast, he noticed the rhythmic whir of the coffee machine, a familiar comfort. The aroma invigorated him, sharpening his focus. He began to mentally articulate his purpose for the day, to establish a framework where truth could flourish, free of the constraints that had historically governed their relationship. Jake wandered into the kitchen, rubbing sleep from his eyes. "Good morning," he chirped, blissfully unaware of the weight each adult carried. Tom couldn't help but smile, instantly reminded that amidst chaos, the essence of joy resided in his son. "Morning, buddy. You ready for our talk today?" Tom asked, trying to gauge Jake's mood. "Yeah, can I help make pancakes?" Jake's excitement quickened Tom's heart, a fresh reminder of why he needed this conversation to be productive. Serving their hearts over breakfast could highlight the unity they all craved. While flipping pancakes, Tom found himself reflecting on Sarah. He understood there were shadows in her ambitions. Her drive for success had often positioned her as a fierce competitor, stoking the fires of conflict between them. What would it take for her to open up? More importantly, what could he do to create a safe space for honest reflection? As the morning drew near, tensions began to surface like dark clouds gathering on a still horizon. Tom felt the familiar churn in his stomach, a mixture of determination and dread. Would he truly commit to dismantling the assumptions he had about Sarah's intentions? Or would this remain just another day masking their struggles? They all gathered around the table, Jake's innocent enthusiasm illuminating the room, while Tom's heart raced in anticipation of the challenging truths that lay ahead. Finally, Tom broke the morning's leisurely silence. "So, I think it's important that we start by laying all our cards on the table. No more secrets, okay?" Neither Sarah nor Jake fully grasped the depth of his words, but a fleeting awareness sparked in Sarah's eyes, a flicker of recognition that perhaps this was a moment requiring significant bravery from them both. "What are we talking about, Tom?" Sarah prompted, her words carrying an edge that suggested both curiosity and hesitance. Tom took a moment, steadying his breath, allowing the enormity of his decision to settle around him. "Today, we need to understand each other more deeply, not just about what's happening financially, but about our feelings, our fears, our hopes as a family. We have to confront the things we've been avoiding." He watched Sarah's expression shift, indecision dancing across her features. Jake remained focused on his stack of pancakes, offering a presence that somehow tethered their moment of confrontation to something innocent and pure. Tom pressed on, pushing through the storm of insight.
Uncertainty hammering away at his thoughts. "We can't continue like this. We need to show you, Jake, that honesty and love can coexist, even through our differences." The resolve behind his words brought a heavy silence that settled over the table. Sarah's gaze dropped momentarily, as though contemplating the weight of her own reactions. Would this approach lead them toward healing or push them deeper into conflict? The question loomed heavy in the air, blending with the sweet scent of pancakes and the sound of soft moments ticking away. "Are you prepared to really know each other?" Tom asked, softening his tone, yet his resolve remained firm. Because the truth might not come without a price. With that, the ultimate test of their familial bond was about to begin. What would emerge from their willingness to confront the hidden truths that had festered beneath the surface? The air hung thick with tension, each second stretching into what felt like an eternity. Tom gazed at Sarah, searching for reassurance in her eyes, but his heart sank as he caught only apprehension mirrored back at him. He forced himself to exhale, eager to crack the frozen silence that had settled like frost over their home. "Let's start with what's troubling us," he suggested, his voice steady despite the internal turbulence. "I believe there's a lot we've kept bottled up, and expressing it will help us heal." For a heartbeat, Sarah quivered on the edge of response. Finally, she nodded, albeit hesitantly. "I suppose. But it's not easy," Tom interrupted, sensing that her hesitation stemmed from fear. "But if we're serious about moving forward, we need to address the limitations we've created in our communication." Sarah crossed her arms, an instinctual defense mechanism.
What if those limitations exist for a reason? Maybe there are some things we're better off not discussing. Tom inhaled sharply, feeling the gravity of her words pull him deeper into conflict. His stomach knotted even tighter, but he understood this was the moment to confront not only her fears, but his own. Hiding from the truth only prolongs our pain. It's like living in a shadow. What has that gotten us? Jake deserves to see us trying, not being afraid. Jake, sensing a rapid tide of emotion, fiddled with the syrup bottle, glancing between his parents as if waiting for a cue. Can we just talk about the money? It feels like it's taken over everything. Sarah finally spoke, her voice cracking slightly. The vulnerability felt like a sliver of light breaking through the storm clouds. Relieved, Tom seized the opening. Let's discuss that, but understand that it's not just about finances. It's what the money has come to symbolize for both of us. For you, it's ambition, and for me, it's security. What does it represent for you, Sarah? At that moment, Sarah's facade cracked further. The bravado fell away as she rubbed her temples in frustration. I don't know. I want to be successful, but every month
Feels like we're losing ground. Is it wrong to want more for myself? Tom felt a twinge of guilt. Her ambitions had often come at the cost of their relationship. No, it's not wrong. But when wanting more becomes an obsession, it can lead us to lose sight of what we have right in front of us, not to mention what we risk losing in the process. Silence enveloped the kitchen again, but this time it was a fleeting pause, filled with unraveling truths rather than painful tension. A flicker of pain crossed Sarah's features, and her defenses slowly began to dissolve. I didn't think we were okay, Tom. I thought my drive was protecting us, not just financially, but as a family. But maybe I was wrong. I want to support your ambition, Sarah, Tom replied, feeling strengthened by her honesty. But our relationship had to be secure first. Otherwise, what's the point of any success? Jake, in his innocence, piped up, "Can we go back to making pancakes now?" His question cut through the heaviness like a warm ray of sunshine, a reminder of the joy that existed in their family. "That sounds like a plan, buddy," Tom chuckled, grateful for the reprieve. He stood, ready to engage in a more pleasant moment, but he knew their deeper issues still lay raw and exposed beneath the surface. Turning back to Sarah, he noted the shadow of contemplation still lingering in her eyes. He could see her mind working, contemplating the intersection of personal ambition and familial loyalty. "You know, I think we both have things we need to work on, together. And we have to be honest with ourselves about what we really want and what we need to do to preserve the things that truly matter." Sarah's brow furrowed, as if she were ruminating on that idea. And for the first time today, he saw a tiny flicker of hope ignite in her gaze. Tom turned his focus on the pancakes. Although the conversation had steered clear of resolution, he still felt the tremors of their discussion shaking him to his core. They were beginning to peel back the layers, but how much deeper would they have to go before the truth emerged fully, ready to be faced? As they began to plate breakfast, Tom pondered the road ahead. Would his newfound strategy of openness lead them towards a healthier balance, or would it unravel even deeper conflicts? The day was still young, but the conversation felt far from over. Each forkful revealed paths untraveled, truths unspoken, and decisions that could define their futures. The time had come to face the raw realities of their intertwined lives, but what other unforeseen consequences awaited them on the other side of that honesty? As breakfast wrapped up, an amalgamation of emotions settled in the pit of Tom's stomach. The chaos had transformed into tentative peace, but the underlying questions remained like an unresolved chord waiting to resolve. He felt a newfound determination to delve deeper not only into the intricacies of their dynamics, but also into his own unresolved struggles. If honesty could lead the way, he would wield it like a crucial tool. Jake busied himself in the next room, the sound of his laughter ringing as a reminder of childhood innocence. It seemed almost cruel how untainted joy existed just outside this heavy conversation. Tom glanced at Sarah, her face still showing signs of contemplation, that flicker of hope still lingering in her eyes. He recognized that this was not just a conflict over money or ambition. It was an exploration of their identities, shaped by expectations, both self-imposed and societal. "Can we sit down and map out a plan?" Tom proposed, breaking the fragile silence. "I believe we can cultivate both your ambitions and our family. I want us to dream together, not apart." Sarah's brow knitted together as she processed his suggestion. "What do you mean by a plan?" "I mean scheduling time for your projects and time for us as a family. We need boundaries, a balance. Let's create space where both can thrive. I've realized I've only been providing security. But what about ambition? Yours deserves attention too," he articulated, his heart racing with the boldness of his new approach. "What if it doesn't work?" she asked, uncertainty shadowing her features once more. "That's a risk we take," he replied, surprised by his own conviction. "We won't know unless we try. What do you think?" In that moment, Sarah seemed to transform. The knots tightened in her face relaxed, and the vulnerable truth of her struggle surfaced. "I guess I always thought ambition meant going it alone. You make it sound like I can share that journey with you." "Absolutely, we're a team. Think of it this way. Behind every ambitious person is often a solid support system, and you need to recognize me as your partner in this, not just in the challenges but in the victories too," Tom replied, gaining momentum with each word. As they discussed the contours of their new plan, Tom felt an unfamiliar strength surging within him. He was carving out space not just for Sarah's aspirations, but also reclaiming part of himself that had gotten lost. Being her partner in ambition felt invigorating, a direct contrast to the lingering fears that had clouded their relationship like fog. Yet he also understood that this shift wasn't solely about support. It would require vulnerability and honesty from both sides. Memories flooded back of moments he had chosen to remain quiet, fearing confrontation, hoping to keep the peace at the expense of true communication. Perhaps it was time to openly acknowledge those moments and share his own professional aspirations that had been dormant for far too long. "Sarah," he began tentatively, "there's something I'd like to share with you as we embark on this journey together. I have aspirations too, things I've set aside. It's been easy to mute my voice, but I want to include those ambitions in our family dynamic. You're not alone here." Her expression shifted, surprise giving way to curiosity. "What do you want?" "I've always wanted to get into environmental consulting, but I hesitated because I didn't want to add to our family's financial stress. I didn't think it was the right time. But this planning gives me hope that we might be able to address those parts of me too," he confessed, a weight lifting as he revealed these aspirations. Sarah's eyes widened. "Why didn't you ever tell me this before?" "I was worried about the timing and how you would react given everything, but maybe that was my mistake. In keeping silent, I only added distance," he responded, recognizing the implications of his own inaction. This admission felt liberating, yet it also ignited another layer of tension. Seeing the change in Sarah's demeanor, he couldn't help but question what new revelations this would prompt. But before he could dwell on that, Sarah's contemplative silence sparked the onset of deeper dialogue. "What else haven't we talked about?" she asked, a serious note in her voice. "From what I can sense, we've barely scratched the surface," he answered, adrenaline coursing through him like fire. Tom couldn't shake the feeling that they were standing on the brink of a deeper exploration. The challenge now was to brave the depths of their psyche, to discover where ambitions and fears intertwined so closely they could unearth previously buried tensions, insecurities, and possibilities. As Sarah leaned in, her expression resolute, Tom felt the ground under him shift. They were about to embark on a journey that would not only test their relationship. Each step promised revelations about themselves and each other. Truths that could either strengthen their bond or fracture it entirely. Would they emerge feeling liberated and connected, or would old fears resurface to haunt them? The horizon felt loaded with uncertainty, but one thing was clear: this was just the beginning. Tom stood resolute before Jake and Sarah, the weight of uncertainty giving way to a burgeoning strength. After days of grappling with betrayal and conflict, he finally felt the air shift within him. The confrontation had sparked a transformation, igniting a flame of clarity and purpose that had long been dormant. "Today is pivotal for all of us," he began, steadying his voice.
It's a time to open the doors and allow honesty to flow freely among us. His gaze darted between his son and Sarah, seeking their understanding. We need to address everything, the money, the ambitions, and the trust we've taken for granted. It's time to lay everything on the table. Jake's eyes sparkled with the innocent curiosity of childhood. Are we going to talk about money? I don't like when it makes you guys fight. Yes, Jake, Tom nodded, appreciating his son's maturity. But today, we're also talking about dreams, fears, and how we can support one another. We have to be honest with each other, no matter how difficult that may feel. Sarah, too, responded with newfound determination. I've been so focused on growing my career, I forgot to nurture our relationships, ours, and even my own well-being. I thought ambition meant sacrificing everything for success, but I see now that I can't pursue my dreams without the foundation of trust we've built. It's time to change that. A palpable tension shifted in the room, replaced by a sense of shared commitment. Tom felt invigorated. He realized that this conversation was not just cathartic, it was reshaping their family dynamics entirely. Then let's begin, Tom suggested, excitement tempered with gravity. I want to hear what all of us truly want and need. Let's ensure honesty will be our new beginning moving forward. As they took turns sharing, the atmosphere gradually morphed from tense and anxious to collaborative and hopeful. Each confession peeled away the layers of misunderstanding and revealed raw vulnerabilities that had been stifled beneath ambition or fear. I need reassurance as we step into this unknown future, Sarah admitted. It's hard to let go of fear when I've been fighting tooth and nail to keep our business stable. I just want us all to be happy, Jake interjected, his sincerity cutting through the gravity of adult conversations, prompting both parents to smile, their connection rekindled. Sitting with his family, Tom felt a profound surge of purpose. They were not merely discussing goals or financial matters, but weaving together bonds that had become frayed. As he shared his own aspirations for environmental consulting, clarity settled over him like a warm blanket. I don't want to hide who I am anymore. My dreams matter too, and they deserve a seat at the table, just like yours. Your dreams matter immensely, Sarah affirmed. It's about us all getting the opportunity to thrive, not at each other's expense, but together. With each revelation, they sculpted a tangible vision for their future. Tom saw the pathway ahead, illuminated by mutual respect and understanding. They brainstormed, establishing boundaries that nurtured both ambition and collaboration without undermining familial values. Days turned into weeks as they navigated this new landscape. The tension that once gripped their family had been supplanted by an invigorated dynamic where dreams intertwined seamlessly. Tom felt an unwavering confidence blossom within. I never thought we could emerge so much stronger from our struggles, he remarked during dinner one evening. Sarah leaned into him, her eyes bright with recognition. It's proven that vulnerability can lead to empowerment. Together, we can conquer anything. As moments transformed into milestones, Tom watched Jake flourish in this nurturing atmosphere, embodying the ideals that were now integral to their family culture. Tom had achieved not just professional revitalization, but personal achievement as a father and partner. In the end, Tom stood proud, a testament to individual transformation born from resilience, acknowledgement, and open-heartedness. The harmony woven through their fresh foundation now radiated warmth, proving that triumphs are not merely born
from ambition, but from a willingness to face the truth together. As he reflected on this metamorphosis, Tom understood that life would always include uncertainty, but that uncertainty could be a canvas painted with the vibrant strokes of hope, love, and integrity. Take a moment to reflect on your own journey. It's time to embrace your growth, just as Tom did. Don't wait. Subscribe immediately to this channel so you don't miss the next exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help others discover these transformative journeys. Comment below with your thoughts and theories about this conclusion. And of course, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this powerful resolution. They deserve the chance to transform too. This is the moment to show your support.